right, so I decided to start a channel where we talk about NBA trades and transactions with an off season with probably a lot of movements about to happen. And so I want to talk about how teams can get better and what teams should be doing this off season. And we'll start off with the Warriors with probably one of the more likely big name guys that's likely to be moving on. And it's not a sure thing. Jonathan Kuminga was at a WNBA game with the Warriors owner right next to him. And reportedly, the owner's kind of been what's been keeping him there so far, and the fact that he's still sitting with him at the game. There's at least probably somebody, if not some people in the Warriors organization that don't want to see him go. But it seems like with the way their team is built right now, he's going to be back, not going to be back there in Golden State next year, and they're going to be trying to get something for him in a sign and trade. And so I want to take a look at these different possibilities and see what I think for the Warriors. And so for this first one right here with the Bulls, I think that would be like an absolute grand slam home run if you could do it. The question is, do the Bulls want to give up all that? I guess you could say that they're just really trying to go kind of like tank mode, and that they would be, or maybe not tank mode, but they're really trying to rebuild, and that they would like to get off those old players' contracts and, make way for a younger vision with Giddey, Buzeles, Kobe White, and those guys. And I have seen some mock trades with Kobe White being traded to the Warriors, which I think definitely would make sense for the Bulls because a Kobe White and Josh Giddey backcourt. But I think when it's a sign-in trade, most likely you don't usually see like massive, or not even massive, Kobe White's not a massive player, but like really strong assets getting moved. And I think guys that a team would be more willing to move on from without a big return, like Vucevic and Lonzo Ball, would be more realistic. But then also throwing in a first-round pick, I mean, that just helps the Warriors to go and make more moves. I think Grand Slam, you definitely do that if you're the Warriors. Vucevic, never been my favorite guy. One of my more controversial videos was talking about how the Magic got swindled trading away Vucevic. Everybody disagreed with me, but I think it turned out to be right. Or no, not the Magic got swindled. The Magic swindled the Bulls in this original trade. But I think if you put Vucevic with Draymond can hide some of his defensive weaknesses, and Vucevic can help them with the rebounding that they need, and definitely helps with scoring as well, with Jimmy being very unreliable, to say the least, as a second option. And now we've got the Nets here, and it seems like for them, the most realistic thing is just pay more than the Warriors can match, or anybody can match. Because the only reason you would do a sign-in trade is to say, like, if for another one, let's say the Bulls signed Kuminga for $20 million, and the Warriors are like, unless you give us something back, we're just going to match the offer, and he's going to come back here. But the Nets are like one of the few teams where they could just say, we'll throw him $30 million. Go match that. And then the Warriors probably say 30, 35 million. That's too much for us. We're going to have to say goodbye to Jonathan Kuminga there. And so that'd be the most likely scenario. I've seen Cam Johnson floated, but I don't think that's really realistic for the Warriors. I don't think they would move on from one of the most highly sought after role players, a guy that's like 6'9", 6'10", and a phenomenal shooter and could play some defense, switchable. I don't think that you're getting him for a guy that it seems like the Warriors are very willing to move on from. And now the Wizards is a very, very interesting one. And the people that they have as a part of the trade are like Corey Kispert and Valanciunas, and then a pick in 2031. And then they have the Warriors giving up Buddy Hield and Trayce Jackson-Davis and another first. Or actually, no, they don't give up a first-round pick. But Buddy Hield and Trayce Jackson-Davis. And I just don't think this one makes sense. Giving up Kuminga, Buddy, Trayce Jackson-Davis for Corey Kispert, who Wizards fans were pretty annoyed by the fact that he was getting as many minutes as he did last year. Valanciunas, who's just he doesn't give you the floor spacing that that Valanciunas does. He's not the passer that Valanciunas is, and he might even be a little bit slower on defense. So I think that this would be a horrible trade for the Warriors. But I will say, Chris Middleton is getting paid $32 million. The Wizards could say, we have money to spend, kind of similar to the Nets. We're going to give Kuminga $30 million, and you could take Chris Middleton off our books, and then you're just paying 1 year of Chris Middleton for $32 million. You might be able to find a way to make it work. You might have to offload a couple other salaries, but you might be able to find a way to make that work. And I think that would be a home run for the Warriors as well. And I think he could step up when Jimmy isn't as a second option still. I think if he's put in that situation, having a full offseason to recover, I think he'll definitely be huge for the Warriors if they could get that done. So they should be definitely talking with the Wizards about getting Chris Middleton back in that type of deal, and throwing a little bit something extra their way if you have to, like a Moses Moody, maybe like a Kuminga and Moody for Middleton and a pick type of deal. And now we've got Phoenix Suns here for Kevin Durant, and it would be a haul that you give them, but when it's Kevin Durant, when you've got Jimmy at his age, Draymond at his age, Curry at his age, I agree with that. I'm a Pajimski guy, but I would do this for sure. Giving up one first-round pick, Buddy Hield, it would be pretty sad to see, the vibes that Buddy brought there, to see him go. It would be sad, but you can't pass up, like I said, with their main guys at their age, to have one or two last hurrahs with Steph, Jimmy, Draymond, and KD. I think you 100% do that. And then the last one is just him returning for the Warriors, which I think Steve Kerr brought up a good point where it's just like, I mean, with Jimmy Butler and Draymond, there's not really much way spacing-wise in today's NBA, especially when Kuminga isn't the best passer, isn't the best decision maker. There's not really much of a way to play them big minutes together. And so bringing them back, I think it's doable if you're just like, listen, we know we're probably not going to be able to win a championship with that type of spacing, but if we can't get a good sign and trade done now and it's a reasonable number, you know what? We'll play him in the beginning of the season, make sure he gets his numbers, and then maybe come trade deadline, we could try and make another trade happen. That's not the worst scenario in the world. Or maybe you make a deal that nobody sees coming, like a Jimmy Butler deal, which I highly doubt. But I think that realistically, it is the time to move on now. You don't want more of those controversies to come out with Kuminga mad at Steve Kerr and just weird fits. You want to go into the season with good vibes and some things figured out. So I think they should definitely be trying to get something done. Another one I've seen is Brook Lopez with him signing a trade. As a Bucks fan, Brook is super slow and pretty washed, so I think I'd rather even a Valanciunas at this point than a Brook Lopez, in my opinion. But if you can't get anything else, I mean, I think the Warriors have desperately needed size for a couple years now, so it wouldn't be the worst thing ever. He could set some decent screens. He could shoot a three. He could still block a shot under the rim. Wouldn't be a disaster, but I like some of the trades I mentioned already a little bit more. But let me know what you think. Drop a comment, hit that like, and subscribe to my new channel if you'd like.